Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gruber Power Services. This is the Gruber Power Hour, and we got a great show planned for you all today. But first, I want to just reach out again to you, our viewers, and give you some good news. When we were here last Friday, we had 231 subscribers. We are now at 267. That's a 36-person increase. I think that's pretty good. Would you say? Pretty
That's
good?
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, 1 week's time to be able to move that quickly, that's awesome. And that's kudos to all of you. Please keep it going. Tell your associates, your colleagues, your friends, get them linked in, because I think you can see that we do things a little different if you take a look at that backdrop there. Also, we want to just make one comment here. We're getting really good feedback in terms of questions and statements that you guys, observations that you all are making. But when you do it, can you please put the location where you are from? That's going to be cool for us, you know, to see what state you're in or what country you're in, that kind of thing. It would be really cool. And just want to say, hey, we're ready to go today. We got a special guest coming in. Not right now, but in a few minutes. And I think it's going to be a great show. What are your thoughts on that, Elvis?
Yeah, well, welcome to the show, everyone. We're excited. This is a highlight of the week for us. We prep well, and we're very pumped and excited to see everyone participate, the growth of the platform, and just moving forward.
Yeah, and you can see Elvis and I are kind of tight.
Oh, yeah, we're best friends today.
We're like warm and fuzzy, but, you know, we created a space. If you look over, I'm not sure if that's to your left or to your right, but it's my left, or is it my right? Actually, it's my right. With this hand. That microphone over there is going to be home to our special guest, who's going to come in and spend a few minutes with us, probably 10 minutes, and we're going to go from there. We're also going to address some of the questions that we missed. There's 3 questions that came up last week that we didn't get to. Part of it was just we skipped over one, and then the other part was just we ran out of time, and we didn't want to rush through the response. So we're going to hit that first after our special guest appears. So is our special guest here today?
Let me double check. I don't see him yet. Give me 1 second.
I thought you had me come closer to you just in case I make any mistakes. You start just slap me across the head.
Exactly.
Or pull my ear. Yeah.
I elbow you like this.
If you see us stiff-arming each other the whole time.
Yeah. Hey, just real quick, since we're waiting on our special guest to show up here, that backdrop that you see, that's an actual picture that I took on a hike. It's actually in Kauai. It's the Akale Swamp. It's 4,000 feet of elevation. It's actually the highest swamp in the world. Trails 8 miles. It all doesn't look like this. It really opens up as you walk through. There's boardwalks, and you walk out to this lookout of the Kalalau coast. It is just absolutely fabulous and spectacular. It's a little bit of a grind because you're walking on boardwalks, that kind of thing, and some of them aren't well maintained, so you got to be careful. It's slippery, but it is just an impeccable trail.
Right now, I'm on the path itself. Right, watch. I'm going to move.
Yeah,
and you're going to see something open up.
Right there. You see the path right there. Okay.
So I'm in the way.
Okay, so we already have some questions coming in here. YouTube statements. YouTube, Banana Man. This comment feeds the algorithm. The Banana Man again. The Banana Man only exists in either he has no location, and then YouTube from Grant in Sacramento, Rockville, California. Actually, love the OSU colored Gruber shirts. Woohoo!
There we go.
OSU happens to be my alma mater, the Beavers, and then Suns fan for life in Phoenix, Arizona. Locked in on Gruber Power Hour, representing the Beavers today. I see. Okay, we're getting it. All right, so how are we looking, Jesse?
Well, I just sent a call to Pete. He is not here yet, so...
Okay.
Oh, we gave it away.
Yeah, we gave it away. That's okay. So while we're waiting on our guest, just to give you some highlights on what we're going to talk, we're gonna address those questions I talked about, but we're also going to go back to that whole UPS discussion we were having. There were 4 units that we wanted to talk to you about. We got through, I would say, 2.5. So we're going to go back over those. We're going to focus a little bit more on 3-phase power. We're going to define what that actually means, so everybody's like up to speed as we're as we're talking through this.
Do you want to address the questions from last time in the meantime until he shows up? Because we're already getting a good amount that we're going to have to answer. So let's try to maybe do catch up. Yep, Richard.
I just wanted to say really quick to the gentleman on Instagram, yes, we will be making these available for you to view on the Instagram account after these lives are done.
Great.
Our
Thanks
special
for tuning
guest
in.
is coming down as well, by the way. So about 2 minutes, not even
Okay.
a minute, maybe.
You
Oh,
want
he's-
to tackle?
So the first question that we kind of hit on, but we kind of missed it, it was how can we calculate the power requirement, backup time, type of unit, and load capacity of our IT room? You want to hit that one real quick? So the power requirement, how do we go about that?
You've said this probably more than anyone, is get the information off the device.
Yes.
Get the data plate, get that information, and then we factor it in. If we have 2, 3, 4, X amount of devices, and then we do the math, and we add and we divide, and we do all the numbers to come to that.
Yeah. And just statistically, what you're looking for there is VA
Yep.
on the back of that device,
The VA.
on the nameplate. So you add all that up, and there's a formula that you can do or we can do to determine what size UPS you would need.
And we round up because it's not actual size. Even I talked to customers asking for 3 kVA, and I said, hey, I can get you a 4 kVA.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get a true 3 in the middle.
Well, you want to do that too for just capacity's sake. You want to
Exactly.
always leave room. So
Exactly.
you never want to put more than 75%
Agreed.
load on any UPS. You want to be able to, to encounter over voltages, things that would spike up, and, you want to be able to compensate for that. Okay, so our special guest has arrived.
Well, there he is.
I would like to introduce our owner and Chief Executive Officer, Pete Gruber of Gruber Companies. And, Pete was gone for about 2.5 weeks on vacation in Europe, right, Pete? And he's back. He's fresh. He's bushy-tailed. He's getting himself situated. And Pete's wearing a black shirt. It works perfectly with orange.
There
For
we
all
go.
those Beaver fans out there, it works perfect, orange and black. Pete, great job on the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving it.
Well, thanks for making some room for me here.
Of course.
And, I want to congratulate you guys. I was watching you guys in Europe, and you guys are hitting it out of
Where
the
in
park.
Europe?
First
Bulgaria?
France.
Okay.
No, I didn't go to Bulgaria. Switzerland and Germany. Yeah.
Hey, Pete, pull your mic just a little closer for me.
How's that? All right.
Thank you.
Check. Audio check. Does that sound good?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. So, France.
Oh,
First
wow.
of all, I never realized there were that many cheeses on this planet.
Oh, man.
And of course, wines. And we were in an area in the Burgundy region where it was vineyards, 50 kilometers in any direction. Did you notice I'm talking metric now?
I see
After
that.
coming
I
back
see
from
that.
there.
I
Yeah.
see. That's what I realized even when you came back. I'm like, you have to shed that accent. You had a European accent for a few days.
And the French remarkably speak a lot of English there. We had no issues at all, even German. So that worked out well. But you know what? The bottom line is, yeah, they're fun, the vacations and all that, but I get bored. How much cheese can you eat? How many bottles of wine can you drink? How many cathedrals can you go see?
It wasn't that. Did you go to that? You told me about a special place that you were going to go to right away when you got to where you were going. Did you go
Yes,
there?
I did go there. It was in my hometown. And the goal was to sit in the town square. They have those little umbrellas and the little tables out there, to order a Hefeweizen, which of course is a Bavarian beer, good, half liter, with Weisswurst, which are these German sausages, with a pretzel, and then just simply watch the people go by.
Yeah.
And
just to picture this. Picture Pete here with a mug of beer bigger than he is, and a big fat cigar, because he smokes cigars, a big fat cigar sitting back with a cheese plate.
And
Just
the
enjoying-
laptop, watching the Gruber Power Hour service, and what is this guy doing? And it's actually translated, it's bratwurst, which is the bratwurst, Yeah, and for the English people, Americans to understand.
Right.
He was watching a show all the way on the other side of the country.
Isn't technology remarkable?
exciting.
It is.
And in fact, one of the questions I think was for me as well. So
Yeah, the good old IT manager.
We knew. We're like, oh, there he is.
How bland is that? How bland is that?
Incognito.
could not go incognito. Yeah.
So Pete, You know, you started this company back in 1983.
Mm-hmm.
We were all young bucks back in 1983. And you've brought it to where it is now. So I'm curious to know, what is your vision, your future vision for the Gruber companies?
Well, it really hasn't changed, and it has evolved, of course. And that was one of the things I wanted to cover in this discussion is, I worked in the house, by the way, in 1983. And at one point, we had 17 people working out of the house, and the city of Phoenix showed up and said, oh, violation of zoning ordinances, blah, blah, blah. You got 60 days, cease and desist and all that. So we got a commercial space just south of here. But the goal always was to provide good quality products and services, regardless of what they are. And that has morphed into now 5 divisions within the Gruber companies.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I wanted to pop up here, Jesse, if you can bring up image number 00 first. This basically encapsulates the culture that I've been promoting here for 40 years now. That is my office. I'm sitting there by the computer. And if you notice, my name tag with my title is Executive Assistant to the Customer.
I see.
I
see.
It doesn't say CEO, top dog, any of that.
No.
That is our mission. Now, if you can throw up image number...
Hold on before Pete goes. Look at that image sitting in the chair. Is that AI generated? That does not look like a human.
No, that's actually me, but Richard had trouble getting the reflection of his monitor.
I guess so.
If you
never know.
If you look to the left, you can see the silhouette of Jesse's face facing Pete.
Yeah.
Okay. And, yeah, we struggled with that way more this morning than we should have. It took about 5 minutes to get this picture right. But the point here is that sign, that title, that description really epitomizes everything that I have tried to promote here for 40 years. 10 years ago, we went on this program where we began to reinforce that culture, because as companies grow, the cultures move around and deviate, because you bring in people from different cultures. So image number 1, Jesse, if you can bring that up. That sign is in a number of places, including the bathrooms, by the way. Let me read it to you.
Great place.
Yeah. We are in the customer happiness business. What we do, make, sell, offer, changes, and evolves over time. The only constant is whether we are exceeding customer expectations. And that's a mantra that to me makes perfect sense. To be successful in business, if you follow that basic philosophy, you will be successful in whatever you do. It's these companies that, decide that they're going to jam something down a customer's throat and decide what they want. And those are the ones that fail, or the ones that can't adapt.
Yeah, we got a lot of that going on.
You know what
right
I call
now.
these that you have throughout the whole building? I call them Gruber's Bible verses.
Yeah.
Because I
Sure,
see
good
them
point.
so
Yeah.
much and I'm exposed to them. I realize at home sometimes I'm regurgitating those same things. So I was like, they're the Gruber Bible.
They're actually good lessons in life, because it continues here. Go to image number 2, Jesse. The wow experience. This is the only experience that will make your customers come back for more. And there are a number of ways that you can wow a customer. But the first basic premise is you have to exceed their expectations. You can't just simply meet that or fail. You have to exceed the expectation in order to get a customer to go, wow, this company is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come back for more. I wonder what else they do. So that was another one. Image number 3.
And I think the proof in the pudding is that one. Both of the
Yeah,
having 5, starting a place in your house, a shop,
right.
and going all the way to 5.
And by the way,
Yeah.
what are they?
1 second.
You did. What are the 5 divisions?
Ah.
I know what they are,
Oh,
but
okay.
just for the
Yeah.
audience sake.
Well, the first one was the construction division, designing and building computer rooms and data centers. That became Gruber Technical.
Okay.
Then we had an opportunity to service something that we sold when we were creating data centers. That started the service business.
Okay.
Remember the story about Kaibab Industries
Right.
calling up one night and saying, hey, we're down. What can you do?
Right.
We sent an electrician out. He fixed it. In 2 days, they called back and said, well, do you offer service agreements? And in sales, you never say
No.
Yes.
You always say yes. And then you find a way to do it.
Right. So
That's
you
a-
were the service guy, you were the salesperson, you were the accountant, you were everything back
Yeah.
then.
Or you say, let me find out, or let me get an answer to that.
Exactly. Yep. And then, of course, the comm division. That one, we were installing data cabling products in computer rooms and data centers, and a vendor shut us off. And it happened to be the only vendor that at that time, Nevada Western, that was making patch cables, telephone cables, the stuff that we were installing, and patch panels. Won't get into the lengthy reasons why they shut us off. We felt it was their fault. They felt it was our fault, that type of thing. So there was a dissolution. Now we scrambled and said, well, we got jobs in process. How are we going to fulfill our obligations with customers? So we ended up making the product ourselves. And of course, again, being salespeople, we didn't stop there and said, oh, we solved that problem. We said, wait a minute. A lot of companies like us need that product. Let's go find them. That's what started the comm division.
Interesting.
And then the most recent one is Gruber Motor Company. I bought a Tesla Roadster. I saw that the electronics in a EV are identical to the stuff that you guys repair, three-phase inverter. And we realized we've been in the Tesla repair business all along, and that's what started that.
And that one's 4 years old, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the fifth one is a smaller one. That's Gruber Commercial Properties. And because of the 7 commercial buildings that we have, we found that we needed to, for tax reasons and a number of reasons, liability reasons, is form a corporation that actually manages our properties.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So image number 3. Yeah. This is another basic tenet here. What our customers experience includes from reception, they call in, to sales, to operations, the stuff that you guys do, field engineers, the people out in the field, accounting, and shipping. And the next image says it all here. If you go to image number 5, there we go. Years of reputation building and trust can be wiped out in minutes of poor judgment by any one of these functions.
True.
Can we go back to image number 4 real quick?
That's why it has to be cohesive.
Yeah. So the first word there in blue, receptionist. Now I know you're an AI guy. Okay. What's your perspective on an AI type character at receptionist?
Well, we're not used to it yet. I mean, if you walk into a business and you're expecting a human receptionist that you can have dialogue with, and instead you've got a robotic machine behind that counter, we're going to be wigged out from our generation.
Yeah.
But that is the future, guys.
Well, here's the thing. You can turn the damn thing off. You get tired of listening to it.
But you know what I didn't realize to that? No, there's a lot of big companies that already use that. And what do you do as a consumer? When you call your T-Mobile, you call your bank, what's one of the first words you always use? Representative. Because that AI is actually pretty annoying sometimes. Please tell me what you need so I can bring you to the right person. Like, no, I want to talk to a live human by now. I do that all the time. I'm yelling in my car at my phone saying, get me to a representative. So receptionist, I don't think we're there yet with AI because it's that interaction of human to human.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's purposes that it could help, like even when you just want to pay something quickly, AI caters to that.
Yeah.
And there's some really good things to it, but then it's that, look, I have a complicated situation or complex. I need to talk to a representative.
Right.
I've heard I say that all the time.
Right.
So real quick, just for each of you guys, can you make sure while there's 3 of you to stay right up on your mics because we don't want to get echo of you guys through each other's mics.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
So Claude said, can you turn it off? Can you imagine a digital wife and you can turn it off? I hope Natalie's not watching.
No. That's for a different episode. Oh, wow.
But, fundamentally, and I don't want to take too much time with this, but there are a whole lot more images than we have presented here. And these typically scroll throughout flat screens in our offices, continuously reminding our people what the goals are and what our culture is about.
Right. One more thing, Pete, before you take off. So you came up with a fabulous idea with the podcast.
Right.
You've been doing it in GMC for a little over a year or more, 2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're bringing it to your other divisions. So walk us through that.
The story behind that is our companies have always been market leaders. That's our goal. That's what jazzes us. And we embrace new technology. So when we began to see social media emerging, well, let's go back to the information age, all right? In 1995, we created Extreme Internet, which is no longer functioning. We'll get into that later at some point. But we always embrace new technology. So We looked at the way that we do sales, and typically it's a live human being with a telephone, with a CRM system, making calls, trying to penetrate gatekeepers, and trying to educate people why we're a good choice for the products or services that they need.
Mm-hmm.
What we began to realize with Gruber Motor Company is by doing social media type marketing without any salespeople whatsoever, that social media actually brings you people. You don't have to do the feed forward thing. You know, they come to you.
Right.
So we experimented, a lot of experimentation. And currently, we're now expanding our social media efforts into Gruber Power Services and into the communications group in the next 6 months or so. The bottom line is this is the new way to take product to market. And again, you have to adapt in order to survive. I'll give you a simple story about a company that didn't adapt. Right here next to us, the building that we purchased on the south side, 21 West Lone Cactus, for the second Gruber Motor Company building,
Okay. Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a 114-year-old company called Clamp Nail.
Mm-hmm.
They made specialty nails for banisters and coffins and, you know, weird stuff. But they've been doing this for 114 years, and the fourth generation owner was running it. He ended up closing down the business because he said there was too much competition from China and he couldn't survive. Instead of recognizing, wait a minute, you've got a captive audience here. For 114 years, you've evolved a customer base.
Wow.
If the product is changing and where it's being made is changing, you simply begin to insert offshore product into your customer base. But you certainly don't take down your shingle and say, well, we're done. We can't compete.
Change your approach.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the reasons that we embrace new technology is any business in order to survive has to adapt. And we have to embrace AI. We have to learn how to work with robots.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, maybe not my generation, but at some point you're going to walk into offices like this and you're going to see a combination of humans, cyborgs, and robots.
What about the content that I sent you? I don't know if you used it in your last AI podcast about design a baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
I read a portion of that. We'll
That's
use it
exactly
Sunday.
That's exactly what it said.
Wow.
Design a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what AI will do is it will take a look at your gene pool, it will look at your physical characteristics, and it will create a reasonable facsimile of what your child will look like, male or female. But anyway, yeah, Sunday mornings, by the way, for those of you interested in going down rabbit holes like this, Jesse and I come in Sundays at 10 a.m. and we have an impromptu podcast that we call the AI or Digital Future Podcast.
Artificial future.
Artificial Future. I always get those wrong. We get these fancy names.
We do
That's
talk about all
awesome.
that stuff, though. Digital tech, alien tech, all of that.
Yeah, and we invite input from the audience.
Yeah,
They
speaking of
oftentimes-
input from the audience, Pete, before you take off,
Yeah.
the last comment there from YouTube, Grant Mobell from Rockland, California. That is the coolest description of a title, Pete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. By the way, I can't read that yet. And next Monday, I'm going for laser surgery analysis. And within a week, my eyes are going to be 20/20, they
I'm
say.
telling you,
That's amazing.
I told you if that works for
I'll let
you,
you know.
I want your doctor's name, and I need to get that done too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's right there.
Yeah.
Look, he zoomed in
And
for
then,
us.
and then one other dig on Pete from the same guy, Grant Mobell. I guess Pete didn't go to OSU.
With your shirt color.
Well,
the shirt.
actually, that's the other color, black.
Yeah.
Yeah, orange and black.
Oh, we've got some regulars there. Scrooge McDuck is 75% of the most efficient. Okay, they're going back into UPS stuff
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
wanted me
Well,
here
Pete,
for.
I want to
Yeah.
thank you for showing up and sending us off.
Certainly.
You know, it was your idea. It was a big idea, and we're just merely trying to put it in the practice here.
I'd
My
like
pleasure.
to say the same.
And we really appreciate our audience. You guys are what make these things work, and continue to participate. We're having fun, and we hope you are.
Thanks for paving the way, Pete. It
all right,
means
we're
a lot.
gonna grab the equipment real quick, and Elvis, you can move over if you
Okay.
can.
Yeah,
It's
give
time
us
to
give
switch
us,
over.
Yeah, give us a little bit just to get Elvis back in his normal seat over there, and we'll get going here.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just to the audience, we're going to go back to answer questions from last week. So we were hitting on number 1 when Pete showed up, and we got through the whole power requirement part of it, and that's the whole VA, the data plate on the back of the device that you're looking at. Then you have the backup time. A lot of that's dependent on, if you're looking at a small UPS, you're looking at 2 batteries in there, so you're probably only talking about 3 or 4 minutes of actual runtime. Type of unit is going to be predicated on the power requirement that you're looking for, and is it industrial? Do you need 3-phase power, single-phase power, those type of things? And then the load capacity is driven off the devices that you want to protect. There are 4 elements in that question that I just hit. So Elvis, just let us know when you're ready, and we'll go into the second question.
Hey, Claude.
Yeah.
Can you real quick repeat that question that you were answering just a few seconds ago?
Sure. How can we calculate the power requirement, runtime, type of unit, and load capacity of our IT room? You want me to say it again?
I caught it.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay. How can we calculate the power requirement, runtime, type of unit, and load capacity of our IT room? Yeah. So, was you ready?
Yep.
All right. So, we're going to go on to question number 2. And there was a viewer that wanted us to talk through the different types of UPSs. So, first of all, there's 6 different types. And I'll just rattle those off real quick, but we're only going to focus on 3. So, you have a standby UPS. You have a line interactive UPS. You have a double conversion or online UPS. You have a standby ferrule, a conversion online, and a rotary. So those are the 6 different types in terms of technology. The 3 that we're going to focus on is the standby, the line interactive, and the double conversion UPS, which is the one that we see a lot of in the field. That's mostly what we service.
And 2 of them are the most common. The standby is kind of not the one that
Yeah.
not so popular, not so utilized.
Yeah. So we'll start with that. We'll go back up to the standby UPS power supply. This one is the simplest and least expensive design and the most common use. Jesse, if you can put up image 99, we'll show you. We showed you this image last time, image 99. Yeah, that one. The one I'm holding there on the left, and also the one on the right is the backside. That's essentially what I'm talking about right there. It's a real small UPS. The size is like 1,000 VA, and you're using this thing basically for your computer setup. Significantly different than a double conversion UPS, which we'll get into in a little bit. The primary power source is still the utility, not the battery. The primary source is the utility coming out of your wall, and then when that power is interrupted, you get the battery power. And again, in a UPS that small, you're only going to get 3 or 4 minutes of runtime.
Yeah.
But it gives you an opportunity to shut your system down gracefully, where you're not losing data.
If you're using 750 VA out of that unit that you're showing, you actually get 24 minutes.
Oh, 24.
So you can get
with half load.
With half of the load.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So, and for this unit, this is a line interactive.
Yes. Okay. The other thing, Elvis just pointed out a really good point. The critical load percentage really drives the length of runtime that you would get. So at 100% load, and what I mean by that, you would never run your UPS like this, but I'm going to use it as an example. Say your device is 750 VA, your UPS is rated for 750 VA. Theoretically, what are you going to get in runtime?
1,000.
Okay.
Go up one.
But I mean, as far as battery runtime.
Oh, runtime. I mean, a minute or 2.
Okay. So you cut that in half. You go to, say, 350. The unit's rated for 750. Your runtime would double. So that's kind of like how that works in terms of that particular UPS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anything else on that one, the standby UPS? Again, that's a small UPS used for size range up to 1,000 VA. So a couple devices, basically.
Yeah.
That you would plug in.
It's really just to plug in the back and keep your computer going or really that for a small office if one or two people need it. And it's also to save face of what if it comes back up in 5-10 minutes and then you're back in business.
Yeah. So you're talking, home use with this.
Yeah.
Some of you are asking about that. Home use is what
True.
you would use this for, your computer at home. So then you have another type of UPS. It's called Line Interactive. You want to hit that one?
Yeah. So the Line Interactive, that is part of it, the one we just looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go larger in it. You can go bigger in it. But the Line Interactive.
Real quick before we pull up more images, there, can you answer that top question for me and let them know?
We do not see
Our
photo.
Instagram guys can't see because they're on that phone down there.
Ah, okay. So
yeah.
So you want me to explain it?
Well, refer them to YouTube. That's what we need to do. We need to refer the instant.
Okay.
So Bassam Salua.
Yeah, Salwa.
Yeah, he states that we do not see the photo. He is on Instagram. If you can get over to YouTube, go in that way, you'll be able to see the photo.
Yeah, the Gruber Power companies, go to the YouTube there and you'll see exactly what we're referring to.
Yeah, you search Gruber Power, you should be able to find it.
Yeah, you'll find it quickly.
Yeah. So Elvis, you mentioned something too about the Line Interactive, the size. The one we just talked about, the size ranges up to 1,000 VA. This particular one is up to 5,000 VA. So, you can connect more devices into this particular one.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And you can even look in the back and see it has more options. So the Line Interactive, it's a smarter designed UPS for AC/DC power inverter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving you kind of a good definition of inverter is in line with the UPS output. So they're together, they're in sync when the input source is functioning normally.
Yeah.
Inverter in the AC/DC mode to charge the battery.
Right. And the first two examples we're giving you, the primary source of power is the source. It's still the utility power.
It is. That's the first source.
Yeah. The double conversion that we're going to spend probably most of the time on, the primary source is the battery.
Correct.
Yeah. So those are two distinct, really big differences. And the first two we talked about, the Line Interactive, and the first one, which I'm losing what that particular one was. Yeah, the standby UPS.
That's the first.
There is a lag, a really, really small lag in the transfer when you go over to battery.
The transition.
Okay? The transition point, where in the double conversion system, you don't have that lag. It's like instantaneous. You don't even notice that you switched over to battery.
Correct. So, yeah, so with the double conversion, it's your best bet.
Yeah.
The inline, it'll take a moment or two, and you're only relying on that small backup, which looking at a 750, you have such minimal approach.
Yeah. And Elvis just mentioned the online, which is the double conversion UPS. That is the one that we service mostly in the field. It's on the larger side. In fact, you can go all the way up to 5 megawatts. It's like 5 kVA, which is 5,000 VA, all the way up to 5,000 kVA. So you're talking a humongous machine. Humongous.
Do you guys want an image for that, or am I just still waiting?
Well, we can put in, go ahead and put in, where is that image at? Let's put in Hellboy, image 13.
All right. Pull that one up. There we go.
Okay, so now we're getting into a double conversion UPS. This one actually this one is a APC Symmetra PX. It's a 3-phase machine. And Elvis, you want to take us through how this thing is set up?
And Bassam, feel free to let us know if you did transition over to YouTube, so you know what we're referring to and you can actually see the pictures. So that's probably my favorite UPS.
Yeah.
Looking at my favorites, the PX.
Yeah.
Has a cool name too, but it is the number one UPS for my approach because of the scalability. This is the 40 and the 80. Just have so much. And what we're looking at is just a larger scale of the LX. And what we're looking at is a different battery size, a different power module, but it still has the same component design. It has a brain, which is the MIM. It has the power module. It has the battery modules, and then it has a few extra components. It has the static switch, which is at the bottom, which is the SYSW40KF, and then it has the whole control, like command center, which is the input output control cage. You see that? That's the command center where you can have a comm card and you can track the equipment, track your UPS through
Yeah. And
technology and through the internet and through the software.
right. And the use for this is where you're getting into industrial now. You know, big business data centers. This is where you see this type of equipment. You would not purchase this and put it in your home. Okay? I mean, it's way too much for what you would need there.
And your home probably couldn't even support it because it's a 3-phase and it's a different type of electrical design.
Exactly.
But your home is not made for that. Single phase is what your home can handle.
Right. And just to kind of break it down a little bit more into layman's terms, if you go back up to the top, you look at the top of this unit, Elvis mentioned the MIM, the SYMI M4. So if you zoom in like Jesse just did, there's right up there at the top, there's a main intelligence module and a redundant intelligence module. And it's just like the brain in your head. It tells all the other components that you see what to do. And it monitors things and it will give errors if things are out of spec, out of specification, that type of thing. You drop down again in layman's terms when Elvis was talking scalability, you may not need all of those. If you could zoom out.
Yeah.
You may not need all of those power modules. The power modules is the SYPM 10KF. That's just the part number that we use.
Correct.
And one of them is actually pulled out. That's 10 kVA, which is 10,000 VA, just to do the conversion. So you're thinking devices, right, as you're sizing a UPS. And you look at that, there's 4 of them. So this would be a 40 kVA UPS. 40, that's what we would call a 40 kVA UPS. And it looks like there's room for a redundant module up there, right? At the top?
Yes. And think about how powerful this unit is, because we were talking about a small 1,000 kVA. That's 10 of them, in theory, in one power module. And also, for the MIM, I wanted just to touch on what you made an awesome point last time. Is like, imagine having 3-4 brains.
Yeah.
Well, we have one brain, and that's what it is. This is the backup to the brain. Imagine you have a brain backup. If your first brain goes down, that's what the redundant is. It's backing up your brain just in case, which is great to have in a unit, which we don't.
Right.
We have one and done.
Great. You know, that's a great point, because the same concept is with the power modules as well, especially if your load is light. Say, for example, instead of being at 75%, which is really the ideal load to have on your UPS, you're at 20%. Well, guess what? One of those power modules goes out. Now you have redundancy. The other one kicks on and your UPS is still running. It's still supporting the critical load. Now, the display, which is on the door is facing out so you can't see it, will give you an error saying, hey, power module XYZ is not operating. And of course,
there's a fault.
Yeah. And then, of course, you're going to, get the maintenance people involved with that. The good news is that you can swap that module out without having to shut the system down, which is great.
I think that's one of our favorite things for me and you. We call it the plug and play.
Yeah.
I tell my customers all the time, because I have a customer right now that I quoted him an LX, and he's like, well, I got quoted this one component UPS. And I was like, and he's like, and they want to charge me all this, and they want to come and do it themselves. I said, I can help you with this unit that I'm offering. It's a plug and play. It's user friendly, and it's not so hard. And we're here to help you. Right. The other ones, they put all this red tape, proprietary. Oh, you can't.
Well, you mentioned a term there. You said component UPS, and unfortunately, we don't have a picture of what that looks like. But let me break it down.
We'll put it on the next one.
Yeah, but let me just break it down in layman's terms. So this UPS right here is modular. You can clearly see that there's modules that go in and out of this unit. A component UPS has no modules like this. It's basically, you open it up, you take the dead front off, and you see a bunch of circuit boards, capacitors. Okay, it's more of a part repair type scenario. And also the battery bank is external, meaning, let's talk about car batteries, okay? Picture 4 car batteries in a cabinet. All right. How many points of failure do you think you have in that? Every single one of those batteries is a point of failure because they're wired in series. Where in this scenario, You see the way those modules are pulled out in this scenario? You can pull out one of those modules and still have battery runtime from the other strings.
And what's that terminology that they're wired in? Because you said a phenomenal
Series.
series
Yeah,
and parallel.
right.
Yep. So that's a great thing is you can just take one out, you take two out, and you replace them. You change a string, which in the industry we highly recommend change an entire string of 4.
Right.
Don't go one by one because it messes with the batteries that are already in good form. It'll mess with the calibration.
Exactly. Can you zoom out again, Jesse, real quick on that UPS?
Look how many slots it has.
Yeah. So this is a 40, and you've got 16 battery slots. You see them? We have four modules pulled out, 1, 2, 3, 4, with the green stickers on them. And then you have room for, underneath that, 4 more, and then 4 more after that, and then 4 more after that. So this UPS, from a battery standpoint, if all 4 strings, which consists of 4 modules, were in there, we would call that a fully populated UPS.
Correct.
Now, the question may come up, well, can I add more runtime?
Yes, you can.
Yes. You can attach another cabinet to this.
The EBM,
Yes.
extended battery
Right.
cabinet, EBC, EBM, extended battery module, extended battery cabinet.
Right, which will give you how many strings? 8 strings, I think.
Yeah, 32.
Yeah, give you 8 strings and 32 more modules to extend your runtime.
So
Okay.
we installed it for a customer out here. That exact unit that you're looking at with just 2 power modules in there and a fully populated, it's giving him 2.5 hours of runtime because he's running a smaller load, a KVA size that's smaller. He doesn't even need 10, but we gave him 10 and plus 1 for the redundancy, and he has it all populated. It is giving him that much time, 2.5 to almost 3 hours
Right.
of runtime, which is so, and he runs a security business, so it's very vital information that he does not have time to lose.
You got a few minutes to talk money?
Okay?
Let's talk money about this UPS. Money. Okay, so you talk about growth in your organization. You're not sure about how you're going to grow. You got to talk about it. This may be, 2 years from now that you don't know if you're going to be able to make the capital investment in the unit. So what's really remarkable about this particular technology, the scalable technology, is you can buy the frame. Okay, it's got 4 slots. So you just buy a power module for 1 slot right now.
Correct.
And you just buy maybe 4 battery modules to complete 1 string.
You have to, because
Yeah.
they complement each other. One power module sits, that's why if you see it's 4 and 4, it's that whole point. But to have 3 power modules and only 1 string doesn't really make sense.
Right.
You need 4 strings for 1 power module.
Right. And in terms of growth, you can make that decision later on when you want to add to it and spread things out.
That's what my customer did to the exact T, like you're saying. He bought 2 strings, he bought 2 power modules, and then every month he had a budget. He bought an extra power module, he bought a few extra strings, and now he has a complete set. You literally hit it on the net. Great approach.
Right. And then you think about energy. You fully populate this UPS with all those batteries and, those 4 modules or even a redundant module up top, which will give you 5. You have to energize all that stuff. So if you do it slow, your energy bill, is less too because you don't have as many components
Correct.
to run. Yeah.
So this unit is a very powerful, very great unit. It operates in many different forms. And this is the one you'd want to use in data centers, like you were saying. This is a double conversion.
Right.
They said is our go-to. The PX is one of our flagship units that we're always looking to provide to our customers in data centers, in big companies. You can have them in all types.
Yeah.
I have one in a sweatshop, so to speak.
Yeah,
like
we
where
have,
they make
we have
homes.
those all over the mines.
Shirts, yeah.
Freeport McMoran.
We have a ton of them, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Hey guys,
yes.
a quick question.
Mhm.
Can you explain the difference between parallel and series? You mentioned it a couple times.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the series part of it is when you have the batteries from going from positive to negative, they're wired that way. So we would actually have to have an example. I would rather
we can.
put an
That's a
image
great
up there.
question that we
Yeah.
can actually
Maybe a
pull to it.
topic next week or something.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
great. Something we can discuss.
because we actually can show you the diagram on how the cabinet is actually wired.
Correct.
One in parallel and the other one in series, and it will be a lot more self-explanatory if you can see it visually.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So back up at the top here, EV fan from YouTube. Am I crazy or is that Bigfoot? Bigfoot on the desk. You're not crazy, and it is Bigfoot. This is the exact image of Bigfoot that I saw when I was a 4th grader. I'm not going to go into the story, but I actually have had a live sighting of Bigfoot when I was a kid.
What?
Up in Washington.
Jesse, go ahead.
I've never heard that story before from you.
Yeah, up in Washington. I grew up in Washington
And Claude,
State.
tell the guys and tell our viewers when you said that story and you gave them a little bit more detail to my 8-year-old and my 13-year-old.
Yeah.
What were the two
Yeah,
different?
when I told his children, his sons, one was 8, one was 13, that I had an encounter with Bigfoot, one looked like he was 150% in belief.
The 8-year-old.
Okay, the 8-year-old.
Mouth
The 13-year-old,
dropped, shocked. He's like,
yeah.
I knew they exist.
And
The 13-year-old's like, come on, man.
Yeah, polar opposite expressions. I was like, and that's exactly what I get from people when I tell them the story. And I've told this story over the years to multiple people about this encounter, and it was real.
Yeah.
It was real because at that time in Washington, it was the very first time the elementary school had opened up. And anybody that grew up in Western Washington knows that the forests are like really dense. So they were basically building the school in the forest. And at recess, we used to go out and play in the forest. This particular day, I went out by myself, and I heard some crackling. It was, I'm a kid now, 4th grader. So I'm thinking it's probably about 30 yards away, and I turn and I look, and I see this image, and it looked really similar to this image that's here on my desk. The image had green eyes. We looked at each other. I froze. I dropped the stick that was in my hand, and I hightailed it back to the elementary school, grabbed like 10 of my buddies. I could name a few of their names too, because I see this image like right now. And we ran back out trying to find Bigfoot, which we never were able to locate him. But it was a real life encounter.
Was Grant there? Was he one of the witnesses?
No, Grant.
Oh, come on, Grant.
No, Grant came along
Later on
in life, in college, that kind of thing.
post Sasquatch experience.
Exactly. He knows the story. I've told him the story.
Wow.
And I get the same look from him. Yeah, right. Okay, so speaking about Grant, there's another comment on Bigfoot here from YouTube. What are the other 2 figurines next to Bigfoot? Is the small figurine facing Dunkin' Donut Cup in trouble? Well, you know what? Those are my people. That's who those 2 figurines are right there. Those are my people. You turn around and you look at their faces. Those are Africanos right there. And Pete gave these to me one day I came in my office one morning. These 2 figurines were sitting on my desk, and Pete does that kind of thing. He'll do stuff and put it on your desk, right? So I set it up, and one day, about a couple weeks later, I had Elvis come in, and I said, Elvis, I go, look what these figurines Pete gave me. I go, are those Romanian? Oh man, you should, because he's Romanian. You should have saw his face. He goes, those aren't my people.
I was like, my people don't look like that.
Yeah.
They don't.
They don't.
Yeah, and that's a great thing for our viewers and our subscribers as you guys are joining in, and we want to bring you guys part of the experience. Is Claude and myself do that. We put little things, little Easter eggs, if you want to call them, little things that see if you guys can catch it and see you guys are bring you in on that experience of, not only about the UPS, but who we are, and even the shirts and just the shades and everything we do. We just want to make this a very exciting and engaging. So yeah, even when I saw the Sasquatch, I was like, oh man, that is really cool. And he told me the story, and to this day, and I will not ever tell anyone if I believe it or not. I have never told them if I believe in it or not, and I'm not going to comment. My kids asked me in the car, and I said, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, just one more comment on Sasquatch, and we'll move on. This is the 2nd appearance. Okay, I had Sasquatch. I think it was
second or third.
I think this was the podcast before. I had this Sasquatch sitting right here, and not a single person that was on noticed it.
I think this is the third.
Not one. So we had someone that finally did, and that's awesome. So let's move on back to the business now, as I would say. All right, YouTube again here. Where do you mainly see double conversion UPSs like the one in the picture?
For the PX.
Yes, the PX.
So that's what I spoke to, and you can answer that too. And it goes in many different places. I sell that unit to companies that don't want to go down. If it's a food company that never wants to lose a second, wine.
Yeah,
you know,
we can go right to the mission critical segments on that one.
Mission critical.
So, Department of Defense.
Yes.
Okay. Banks. Okay. Mines. Food and agriculture.
Agriculture and food is huge. They do not imagine. It's like having your fridge go down for 20 minutes in your house, and you just up in arms of, no, my food's going to go bad. It's that same on a larger scale. These UPSs, that's why they're called. Also, there's many different names. We always refer to them as UPS.
Right.
I would like to challenge the audience.
The guy in the brown suit.
Exactly. I would challenge the audience. What are some other names that you know, the uninterruptible power supply or system that you also know? And I want to see if anyone in the audience would know some other terminologies and some other things that they're called and referenced, because I have at least two that I've used in the past to my customers when they're like literally asking, scratching their head, like, well, what's a UPS? So I have to come up with different explanations. So I want to see in the audience, I challenge our viewers, what are some other ones that they know, reference, and how you call them, and what's the names?
Right. Okay. We'll see what their feedback is.
Let's see.
From EV Fan, seems like this would be much easier to manage over component. Spot on there. He's talking about the scalable UPS versus the component UPS.
Correct.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. It is so much easier to manage, and I think the risk factor is less when you because you don't have single points of failure really, other than kind of the source power maybe. Because, things can go out, but as far as how the UPS is made, your single points of failure are much less with a scalable system.
And the big thing that I love, and I think all of us love, is when you have the option to upgrade your current device, your current unit. It's really frustrating for us because they got us kind of in a trick of phones. You can't upgrade your current phone. They say upgrade, you got to go buy another one.
Right.
That's what they consider upgrading. But when you have your car, you can upgrade it with that existing car. When you have your modular, you can upgrade it. When a customer asks me for a 8 kVA component, it's like that's all you're going to get.
Right.
It operates. It's still a really good, reliable unit, but you're getting 8 or 10 or whatever the case is. That's what you get. If you ever want to downsize or upgrade and scalable, you have to go to a modular. And that's what's so phenomenal. And I love that because it gives that customer, well, what if they want to grow their business?
Right.
What if they want to downsize? What if they're going to a smaller space? So that's why we're so big, and me and you love it. That's another primary reason of why modular is such a big deal, and it's such a great unit to have. Components, good, but it only serves to a certain extent and point.
Yeah, and the brand that we're focusing on right now is APC, but there are other really good brands out there too, outside workhorse UPSs that perform very well. And how I know this is because we service them in the field. We do. We said in the very beginning, back in our first podcast, that we are a multi-vendor company service provider. So we're doing work on all sorts of brands of UPSs, from Mitsubishi to Liebert to APC to MGE to General Electric. The list goes on and on and on.
We're a great agent for multiple brands. We represent there's a lot of competitors that's like, this is their brand and they're going to push it. And that limits them on honesty, on transparency, and giving the best solution. Like Pete put up those things, giving the best solution to your customer, where you always have to steer them back to only what you have and can supply.
Right.
So that's what's so great about Gruber is we have a variety.
Yeah. So did you have a Did You Know segment?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can you?
Let's go to our Did You Know?
Yeah. And tell them a little bit about why we're doing that.
So it's just a great segment for people to chime in so we can learn new things. So we have a lot of fun stuff that we can really get into. And it's really exciting. It's really fun. And it's just something to let's engage in. Right. And it doesn't always have to stay on topic, because one of yours is a very different.
Yeah, don't tell them.
Oh, I love it.
That's going to come last.
Okay. So the Did You Know, the first one is looking at the thumbnail. The first one we're looking at is, which thumbnail is that, Claude? Sorry, I can't find it. What's the...
Well, while you're looking for that, let me go over the one that's not really business related. And again, I hit on this a little earlier. The image there that you see in the backdrop.
That's the one.
This is pretty cool. And by the way, all the images that I present here in the backdrop, with the exception of last week, or the week before last, because that was generated by NASA, are my own photographs of actual hiking trails that I've done. So what you're looking here, you're looking at Kauai right now. I'm in the alpine swamp there, 4,000 feet of elevation. It's the highest swamp in the world. It's called Alkali, if I've got that correct. If any of my Hawaiian buddies happen to be on, please correct me if I'm wrong. They might be. Probably pronounced it all wrong. But anyway, it's 4,000 feet in elevation, the highest swamp.
Exactly.
But the did you know thing is
Let me chime in. I'm ready for it this time. I'm ready.
This is a jungle that you're looking at here, a swamp in a jungle.
And it's hard for me to believe what we're about to say about this jungle.
And there are no predators and no snakes. Zilch.
No venomous creatures?
Yeah, nothing.
Come on.
And the whole thing here is a boardwalk. You go through like 5 or 6 different ecosystems, and there's nothing that's going to jump out of the swamp. No alligators, nothing like that. No snakes, nothing. And you can just really enjoy this hike, and it goes out into a lookout.
You took the suspense out of it.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the predator, since we've been talking about that, to pop out of nowhere and get you.
Yeah, it's an 8-miler, by the way.
Wow.
Just for distance. So, yeah, that one right there. All right. So, a good point by Kim Estrie. I think that's how you pronounce her last name for YouTube. She's back on the comment I made about Bigfoot. I said that no one mentioned it, but her point is valid. She says, I think it was noticed, just not spoken about. Great point.
So, did you know?
Did you know
I'm
again?
going to ask, who invented the UPS, the uninterruptible power supply system? Who invented it? And you know where I got this from? You.
Really?
You've been doing so many of these back in the 1800s, 1900s, back in the day. This is what took form. And I was like, man, I didn't know any of that. So it also challenged me to find new things to learn about.
Well, that's a good one. Can I guess?
Yeah. It ain't you.
I know, and it's certainly not Bigfoot.
Okay.
Let's see.
Let's see.
I don't know. I don't know who.
Okay, so his name was John J. Hanley, was the inventor of the uninterruptible power supply. Now I'm going to read off of back during this time, he was interested in rail passenger trains. This is very fascinating.
What year?
I thought it was it 1934.
1934.
In 1934, he obtained a patent for the apparatus for maintaining unfailing, uninterruptible power supply for electric energy. And this is why he got it. He was on a rail train, and the rail train ran out of electricity.
Wow.
And they were stuck, and they were in sitting ducks. And he was like, how do you get out of this? And they couldn't travel. And they couldn't do anything. They were sitting ducks, and they were, in hot water. So he came up with like, well, what happens if that happens again, and they don't have any downtime? That's what we call it. No downtime. And it's great that his thought process came to all these terminologies in the UPS that we use now: modular, scalable, downtime, outages. So that's where it came. And the device function was allowed for automatic switching to the battery in case of power failure. That sounds familiar.
That's it. Yeah.
There it is. At that same time, an extended electrical source. So without being in control from the train operator. Now we go and say in 1983, he obtained a patent, the apparatus for maintaining the unfailing and uninterrupted power supply for the electrical energy.
So he went from, is this the same man in 1983 or somebody different?
1934, sorry. I keep saying 83. It is 1934 is when he obtained that patent.
The patent, yeah.
Yeah. And then now the first UPS system, and I heard about these a few years ago, was used by Flywheel.
Yeah.
Rotary.
Yeah, mechanical system.
Yep. That was the first UPS. And it provided backup power only for 20 to 90 seconds.
Oh,
That's all it could do.
yeah.
So by the time you went down and you looked at whatever you went back, it was done.
Yeah.
You had no more time to even back up.
No generator
No,
either.
no, 20 seconds. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't proper. And it wasn't really doing its job.
Yeah, you'd have to be like a really good planner.
Crazy.
Because think about this, though. You say 20 seconds. I guess in this industry, 20 seconds isn't a really long time. But 20 seconds kind of is when you think about it. 1,001. I could count off 1,020 seconds right now, and people would have to sit here and watch me count off 20 seconds. So, I guess it depends on what you're doing with the 20 seconds.
And you know how they utilized it? The flywheel would produce a high-speed kinetic energy,
Yeah.
and it would start the UPS up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I remember it every time I hear kinetic energy and flywheel. I remember my first watch I ever had was one of those where you shook it and it was a kinetic energy watch.
Really?
You had to shake, and then it would utilize and it would let the clock work again, the watch work again.
Yeah.
But that's how they used it.
To your point on that, we in the past, been with the company 14 years. In the past, we've actually serviced a few flywheel UPSs out in Vegas. We don't have any under contract right now, but we used to do some service work on them.
Yeah, and
they're highly mechanical.
They are, and the flywheel, they're still utilized 20 years later.
Yeah.
Very minimal, more in the green technology field.
You're right.
But they're to your words, antique.
Yes.
They're antique, and they're still in very specific cases. And going now back to the second point for Did You Know?
Mm-hmm.
Is you spoke about in the beginning, how many types of UPSs are there?
6.
6.
Mm-hmm.
And we are talking about the main basic ones that we utilize the most,
Right.
or that's very common and familiar. We're not talking about the other 3 yet, because those are, depending the situation. And you spoke about them. It's the offline standby, the double conversion, and the line interactive.
Mm-hmm.
And these are not to be confused with uninterruptible power supplies that are mostly used for emergency lighting.
Right.
It's different.
Yeah, those are
Now,
lighting inverters.
I'm still going to challenge the audience to see if they have any other way terms. And if not, if you don't mind, Claude, I'll take about 20 seconds, like the flywheel, to name off the other 2 or 3 I know of.
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So everyone knows UPS, right? The other one is critical power systems and emergency battery backups. Those are the other 2
Sweet.
terms that I learned to help customers and educate them and to try to connect the dots, because UPS, everyone was like, well, I don't care for shipping.
You know what one I've heard a lot just within the industry, just technical people, they just call it a box. They do. They just call it a box.
The box.
That box. I've caught myself out in the depot.
Oh,
When are you going to get on that box? No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah, but that's more that's more in-house.
Internal.
We're never going to say it to a customer, because if we tell a customer, they're probably looking at a cardboard
Well,
box.
it's kind of like when you hear UPS, you think about the guy running around in the brown truck.
Exactly.
But now our viewers know, okay, the ones that are not in the mission critical business, now you know that we're not talking about the guy running around in a brown truck.
Battery backup system, emergency power systems. You can also say critical power, because we talked about critical. How critical and crucial it is. That's why they use that. And it's also to explain to your customer the seriousness of having one. It's critical.
Right.
So they understand, oh, wow, this is not a small thing.
Right.
So those are some of the other terms used for it.
Well, we're at 11:02.
Oh,
and,
wow.
I want to, next week, what we're going to do, since we spent a lot of time here on the UPS, we're going to transition into what the backup is to a UPS. And it's essentially called a generator. So we're kind of like going to keep going down this path to take you all the way to the end. But I think you will find that whole integration of the generator is going to be very, very interesting too, because you're going to go through some of the same steps in terms of sizing, so on and so forth. But you want to end this off with a Bigfoot question, with a Bigfoot, I guess, response here from a viewer.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, wait. Let me go back up to the first one. Ed Perletz. Hi, Ed. Been a long time. Ed used to actually work for our company many years ago. He was in customer service, excellent guy. I think Ed is in Napa, if I'm not mistaken, Napa, California, and he's in the photography business, if I remember correctly. His question is, hi, Claude. How has the implementation of the regional service field engineers benefited the department over the years? Well, staging our own people in various places, there's pros and cons to it. Obviously, the pros is that it's our own employee going into these sites, a Gruber shirt, so to speak. But some of the downsides, I'll just talk about one because we're at 11:04, is, when you have turnover, it's a long learning curve to get a field engineer up and running. There's a lot of pieces to it that go on outside of the person's technical knowledge. There's a lot to it. It's a ramp up period. There's a lot of things the individual needs to learn about the company, the routes, that type of thing. And when you lose a person, you have to start that process all over again. You may say, well, it's like that with any company. Well, in our business, we use partners to help us out in various places in the country that are technical, that know the routes, that know the geography much better than we would in terms of placing an individual out there. So there's been pros and cons to it. I think overall, it's been a successful venture for us.
The response time is a big one too, is having our own people in-house, is we can respond and we can, the service department can schedule someone in a timely manner than we're trying to find, a partner. So I've seen it, and I probably see it in a very different light because I came from one group to the other where I see how heavy utilized it is here. Mm-hmm. And I see the massive benefit. And it also falls under a lot of those images Pete was showing of how much you guys have filled the gap.
Yeah. So Ed, just before we sign off here, hey man, it was good to hear from you. I haven't seen you probably in 5 years, but thank you for watching this broadcast, and the same goes to all of our viewers. Thank you for watching today.
Thank you. Have a great day.